The United Nations continues to warn of a deteriorating security situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as M23 rebels seize towns and occupy new territories in North Kivu province. According to local leaders, including the local governor, the M23 rebel group seized the eastern town of Minova this week, a main supply route for the provincial capital Goma, as the DRC army reported fighting on all fronts. The Tutsi-led rebel group has been waging a renewed insurgency in the country's east since 2022. Congo, the United Nations and the United States accuse neighboring Rwanda of backing the group with troops and military hardware. Political analyst Nelson Gashagaza joins us to expand the conversation. A very good evening to you, Nelson. Thank you for your time. What is your understanding of what's happening on the ground at the moment?
Currently, what is happening is that M23 is around almost 27 kilometers from Goma. It has already advanced so much. This is the first time it has made such advancement since the crisis has started. The spokesperson of our M23 just announced that they intend to capture Goma. So right now we are waiting for what is going to happen next. But we are also understanding that UN forces and SADC forces are organizing and regrouping around Goma to protect the Goma, and they are coordinating together. At the same time, M23 has already warned them and then have urged them to separate themselves and not be involved into the conflict that they consider is between them and negative forces.
We know that the M23 rebels have been waging a renewed insurgency in the country's east since the year 2022. I mean, with that shows that this has been ongoing for quite some time. But at this point, as you and I speak, there are heightened, a word of caution out from the United Nations about the deteriorating security there. I mean, what is at stake as we take a look at that factor and the time frame around the impact of the Tutsi-led rebel group?
There's a different factors that is happening right now, because where actually most of the times where FRDC has put heavy artillery is near refugee camps like Mugunga and then Zuru, which they are using right now to show M23 positions. So some of the people who are in those camps are moving into Goma. And then you have also people who anticipate that when M23 captures a certain areas, FRDC and its allies are going to, to fire on those areas, and then they also move into Goma. So right now, Goma has almost thousands of people that have went into the city to take refuge, and then some of them have already crossed the border with Rwanda to be safe.
The DRC and the United Nations have accused Rwanda of supporting M23 with troops and weapons, and in turn, Rwanda has denied this. But, where does the basis lie when it comes to the accusations being put forward? And if it is true, what motive would Rwanda have?
I think it's a very, very, very easy narrative that the UN tends to use most of the times to actually justifies why MONUSCO keeps failing or doing what it's supposed to be doing. For instance, the report from UN does not show any proof of Rwanda arming M23 or even supporting it on the ground. At the same time, what the report does not recognize is actually the heightened threat that the coalition between FRDC and FDLR and other forces poses on Rwanda. So all these, there's this misunderstanding between Rwanda that thinks that it needs to defend itself against any potential attack, and then M23 because it speaks most of the people in M23 speaks Rwanda, and then they are associated to Rwanda immediately. But M23 happens to be a Congolese movement, and then its leaders are known as Congolese. So even the Congolese government acknowledges that M23 is Congolese because it has been in negotiation with them in Nairobi. So today you cannot come and say they are not Congolese.
Yeah. What do you think, Nelson, it will take to end the conflict in Eastern DRC?
I think what is happening right now, it calls for a direct talk between Kinshasa and M23, which is something Kinshasa has been refusing to do because it considers M23 as a terrorist organization. But reality is right now that M23 has claims, and these claims can only be solved in political dialogue. And then Kinshasa always says, you know what, we are not going to go into a direct negotiation between M23. But at the same time, it tells you we are going to send M23 to Nairobi process. But we have to remind the viewers that the Nairobi process was actually declared dead by the president of DRC a year ago. And then the process of Nairobi brought together all armed groups to have conversation with the government of DRC. But most of the armed group, if not all, other than M23, has been put now part of the army, and they are called Wazalendo. So which means the only group that is remaining fighting right now with the government is M23. So either you go through Nairobi or you go through any other process, it's still going to be a conversation between DRC government and M23. It's just that the government of DRC is trying to figure out a way and buying a time to see if it can win this war militarily.
I see.
However, when it comes to Rwanda's side, it insists on direct dialogue because it's refusing to be associated with M23. The reason is because it wants that people look at the root causes of this conflict that keeps coming every few years, all the time. And one of the root causes is FDLR that exists in those lands that have made thousands of Tutsi Congolese refugees that actually needs to be removed from the territory itself.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us and weighing in on this very important conversation. Wrapping up that discussion with political analyst Nelson Gashagaza joining us for those remarks.